Hello, and welcome to It's Just Perfume, a Lucky Scent podcast where we talk all things perfume. I'm your host, Stephen Gontarski. Today I got to talk with Chris Collins. We just love his brand. All of the fragrances are so beautiful to wear. In fact, right now I have African Rooibos on, one of my go-tos. It was fascinating hearing Chris's backstory, hearing about all of his years in the fashion world, working as a professional model, and then his pivot into perfume, one of his lifelong passions, and how he got his brand started. He's one of the funniest, most charismatic people I've met in a long time. Check out his impersonation of me describing perfume. Anyway, I could have gone on talking with him for hours. I really hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did having it. Chris Collins.
Hi, Steve.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I was excited, the whole plane right here, to sit down and talk to you.
Oh, this is awesome. We've met, I think, once before.
In the store, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I didn't really get to talk to you, so
Right.
that's...
So now you can talk, you can ask me anything you want.
I plan on it, for
Chat
sure.
about anything you like.
There's so much I want to know because I love your fragrances so
Thank you.
much, and I get a sense, a little bit of who you are just through the fragrances.
Right.
Because I can tell what you like, what's
Right.
important to you,
Right.
you know?
So you can tell that I'm complex, that I'm deep, and I'm long-lasting.
And kind of spicy, yeah.
And kind of spicy.
So I want to get into it. All right. I don't know much about your biography, so let's start there.
Okay.
Like, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in a city called Paterson, New Jersey.
Okay.
I live in New York now, but home is in New Jersey.
Okay. Is that like outside the city, outside of New York?
Yeah, it's about 25, 30 minutes outside the city. So it's
Got
actually
it.
really close, but a completely different world. So
Right.
it's close, but it's like different mentality.
Like in what way?
It's just, more like suburbs, little hood mixed in there,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. When I take people to where I'm from, they're actually a little shocked.
Really?
But yeah. They're like, oh, Chris, you're so polished. I was like, yeah, let me take you to where I'm from. You'll see kind of like where all the grit comes from.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you are polished. So
Thank you very much.
I'm going to venture to say that
Yes.
you were probably interested in clothes, grooming, fragrance from a really early age.
Yes. Well, I was actually really interested in fragrance from an early age because my father was.
Oh, okay.
My father, he collected, well, if you can call it collecting back then.
Yeah.
Like all the cool, interesting fragrances in the 70s. So
Oh.
like English leather.
Oh, yeah.
and gray flannel, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, some more will come to me, but gray flannel was the one that sticks out. So I used to steal his fragrance when I was a kid.
Were they just in the bathroom?
Just in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Which now I'm like, don't put your fragrance in the bathroom. But, they were just in the medicine cabinet, and I would just go in there and grab them and spray them on when I was like 6, 7 years old.
I did that too. And I remember in our medicine cabinet, there was Old Spice.
Old Spice, sorry.
Yeah,
Old Spice
right.
is one of them. Listen, if I'm anywhere and I see a bottle of Old Spice, I buy it.
Really?
I still love the smell of Old Spice.
Do you think what you can buy now is still the same?
Probably not.
No.
But it's as close as that I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And I used to love when my dad wore Old Spice.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it cost back then. I don't know how much it costs now, but it's still one of those scents that brings me back to childhood.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Now, did your dad wear things regularly or just...
Yes.
Okay.
He was always smelling good. That's when I knew he was home, because I was smelling.
Right.
I knew Dad was home when I smelled him. I could get a waft of something like, oh, Dad's home, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Were there specific ones that he kept for special occasions, or was it kind of just a mix-up?
It was just a mix-up. I don't think... it's funny because I used to sneak up to my parents' room, and my father used to eat... I don't know the specific name of it, but it's like a violet candy.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Is
It's
it-
like a mint. It's like a violet
Yeah.
mint.
Is it like Chowards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, in the purple cake.
Yeah, I love
so
those things,
then, gray flannel was his favorite fragrance. I don't even think he knew at the time that it was a violet fragrance.
Right.
Because back then, no one was as adept in like top, middle, base note. They just
Yeah.
knew it smelled good. I'm sure when he went to wherever he bought it from, no one said, well, it's a violet and this is the top and just dry down.
Yeah.
So me seeing the candy and then now knowing that it's violet, I can like put two and two together and know that my dad loved violets.
Oh man.
Yeah.
For sure he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I'm getting this picture that maybe your dad was a bit of a dandy.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually like, I grew up playing sports. He was my basketball coach, so he was very much an athlete.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was like, when he got dressed up, he definitely got dressed.
Yeah.
And to him, and I think that kind of rubbed off on me, more of the style was the scent. So my style is very simple. Like, I don't overcomplicate things when I get dressed. And even when I was young, it was always about the scent. It was always about how I smelled. So the scent either dressed me up or dressed me down.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So it was never, I never bought like really expensive suits I would always kind of put it together nicely.
Yeah.
But the fragrance was actually what put my outfit together.
Totally get that. I feel that way too, because I feel that some fragrances are very formal.
Yeah.
And I actually like to wear those when I just have a t-shirt on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like you mess with people. Can I curse, by the way? I was going to say you can fuck with people.
You can
It's
say
like,
whatever
wait a
you
minute,
want.
you smell really, wow, you smell so elegant right now, but you're wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers.
Oh, for sure.
I love doing stuff.
Yeah. Or you can do the other thing and wear something really nice, something very expensive, and put on Gap Dream. You know what I mean?
Amazing. I love doing that.
Mix it up.
Yes. My favorite fragrance to do that when I was younger was Versace blue jeans. Because to me, it was just like, first of all, back in the 90s, Versace was huge. And I think they had red jeans and one other one.
The blue jeans is the one everyone talks about.
Blue jeans was like, whoa. So I would wear that, and it would kind of, back then I didn't have any style. So I would just wear that to kind of elevate the sweats I was wearing, or basketball sneakers I was wearing. Or something like that.
Now, like I said, that gets talked about so much, Versace blue jeans. And I've met so many guys who are like, that was the best scent ever, and da-da-da-da. I've never smelled it. I don't even know what it was like. How would you describe it?
Back then, no clue. Actually, I still have no clue.
Right.
But I guess you can put it in the fougere category.
Yeah.
It was, to me, to my nose, slightly spicy, woody. But I guess, to play it safe, you can put it in the fougere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first one that you got for yourself, your first fragrance?
Oh, it was Obsession for Men. That's
Obsession
easy.
for Men?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's the first one.
That's so funny.
We
We have a lot in common, I think.
I think I was 14
Yeah.
when I first bought it.
Yeah.
I had my first job, and my mom took my brother and I to Macy's at the time.
Yeah.
So they went walking, and then I wandered off and ended up in the fragrance area. And I just started smelling. I think that's when it started, that moment. And I was just like, what is this? I smelled it. And again, I cannot tell you the category. I don't know if is it ambery, probably?
Yeah,
is it gourmand a little? I'm not sure, but it blew me
come
away.
on. And you know what? This has held up. When I smell this now, it smells just as it did in the 80s. It's perfection.
Not that, you know how I'm sure that it had to change a little bit just because of when it was made, but
this bottle's really old though.
So that's yours, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, this isn't authentic from the 80s or anything,
Right,
but
right.
it's pretty old.
Yeah. And I bought my mom the one for women as well.
Oh, right. I remember that so well.
Yeah.
For me, I started buying GQ magazine. Like, I was basically a kid.
Right.
But I started getting the magazine, and I remember when
strip?
they...
You had the strip?
That's how I discovered this
I wish we
set.
can go back to that.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe some magazines, well, I guess everything is so digital now online,
I know, right?
I remember always going through the magazines, opening up the strips, and like rubbing my whole body in the magazine because for some reason it just held scent really well. So I want to go back to that.
I agree. In fact, I think, to be honest, because I first wore this fragrance by rubbing the magazine on my wrist, and I loved it. And then when I got the bottle, I loved it, but I didn't think it was quite as good as that weird
Then
magazine
it was on
version.
the sticky paper because you had glue on you. It was probably the scent of glue. Glue and Obsession for Me.
That's what's missing from this bottle.
The glue was on your wrist. And you were like, wait a minute, what does that smell? It smells so good.
If they were to bring back those scented ads, your brand would make so much sense in that format.
Oh, my God. I might just, you know what? You have sparked an idea for me. I'm just going to create a mailer with just scented strips like in there and just kind of bring back the 80s,
That
70s.
It's so cool, so
Why
on
not?
brand.
Why not?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
See if I can pull it off
Yeah.
with all the glue.
Oh God, that's so good, that idea.
Yeah.
So now I understand that you started modeling, and that
Yeah.
is what kind of brought you into the fashion world and had
Yes.
you start traveling around the world.
Right. So when I was a junior in college, I was working in the mall. I was working at Foot Locker selling sneakers.
Yeah.
Just to make some extra money for college. And then an agent walked in and just, took interest in me and said, well, did you ever think about trying the modeling industry? And I was like, no, because at the time I was like really into my studies.
Yeah.
I was pre-med. I was like, no, I'm going to be a doctor.
Yeah,
This is it. I'm not going to, And then he said, well, just come over to the city. We'll have a meeting. And then I went over and, we had a good talk. And then I went back to school, finished. And then I said, you know what? I think I just want to take a year off because studying physics and biochemistry and everything was just going to just wore me down.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, Mom, I'm just going to take 1 year and just see how it goes. And then that 1 year turned into 25 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I ended up meeting Ralph Lauren and, ended up, working for one of the most incredible, iconic fashion brands in the world. And I traveled the world and I saw the world and just all the experience. I mean, I think the money was good. I'm not going to lie, but I think the best part was like the travel.
So you were working for Ralph Lauren like in the 90s?
Yeah, my first photo shoot with Ralph Lauren was in '97.
Oh my God, that's like a golden period
That was a golden
of Ralph
period
Lauren.
of his main line, Polo.
Yeah.
So I started working with them, and then of course I did a little Purple Label, a little Polo Sport, but mainly I did Polo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's when I was young and handsome. Now I'm just
Shut
enthralled
up.
into
Look at this guy. Come on.
fragrance creation.
So, all right, during that whole time when
Yeah.
you were traveling the world, did you feel compelled that you had to wear some Ralph Lauren fragrance, or you
I
just
did.
wore
I always loved the original
the green polo?
by Carlos
Yeah, yeah,
Benaim,
yeah.
the green polo.
Iconic.
Iconic.
It doesn't smell like that anymore, unfortunately.
Even the bottle.
Iconic.
The simple logo on the bottle. I think when people see my brand, I hope they take away what I try to translate, which is simple elegance.
Yeah.
My body's not super flat. My bottle's not super flashy. It's a good weight and it's beautiful and it's classy and it's not overdone.
No.
And that's kind of what I took from Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
Like, did I ever sit down and have a conversation with him about fragrance? No, but I was in that world and I kind of took whatever I learned from being in that world and that experience and kind of tried to translate that into my brand.
Yeah.
So, of course, I wore the original green fragrance, green bottle. Polo Sport, I loved. I don't know about Romance. Was that for men or women? Romance?
Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe they had two versions. Yeah.
So I think after Polo Sport, I think that's kind of like where I started veering into like a different lane of
Yeah.
perfumery or my taste. But I used to love wearing Polo Sport.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And when I think about that, I just recently saw this program, and it's about Vogue fashion in the 90s.
Yeah.
And watching that documentary, I forget what it was on, Netflix maybe, Hulu, something, super interesting. So many interviews with Anna Wintour and all the leading people in fashion in the 90s. And it made me realize, whoa, that was such a big time for American fashion, like
Golden
Calvin
age.
Klein, Ralph Lauren.
Versace, like everyone, the brands were flourishing at the time. And what I loved mainly about fashion, especially in the 80s, was like every major fashion brand had one fragrance.
Yeah.
One iconic fragrance. Now, obviously, now brands have like 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever, but they had that one fragrance that was their signature. And I thought, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like, this is our identity in fragrance, and this is it. So I love that part of fragrance back then.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I was having a
Halston, remember, did you see the documentary of Halston?
Yeah, that was so good.
Gives me goosebumps thinking about it. when the perfumer was talking to him about his childhood and he almost started crying. Well, I think he did start crying. I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the moment. Yeah,
definitely. Speaking of, because we asked you to bring some of your Hall of Fame fragrances,
Yes.
like the fragrances that really shaped you, that you really loved, got you excited about fragrance, and some of them, of course, are from your brand, and I can't wait to talk about that too.
Yes.
But speaking of fashion houses being really known for one iconic scent.
Right.
One of the ones that you picked is this guy here, Oud Delice.
Oh.
And for me, Oud Delice and Oud Delice Pour were, I mean, that's the 90s. Come
That's
on.
90s. Everyone was walking around smelling like
Yeah.
it. And again, they had one fragrance at the time. One fragrance. For Homme and for women. Just one fragrance.
Yeah.
Oud Delice. And it was just like incredible, iconic. At the time, I didn't know that it was like oceanic. I didn't know
Right.
Again,
People didn't talk about fragrance really like that back then.
the average person who speaks about fragrance now is way smarter than I was. Back then, it was like, it smells good. I want to buy it. Yeah.
Well, there's so much more information out now.
Right.
Oh, that brings
And
me
everyone's a perfumer
back.
too. So.
Yeah, wow. That.
So I had a fragrance because unfortunately it's discontinued at the moment. It's called Renaissance. And it's an aquatic note that I was inspired to make that because to me, the Renaissance is the rebirth.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make it aquatic and fresh, and it was inspired by this. Oh. And actually, that scent, Renaissance, was Killian, who is my mentor. That's how I actually got into fragrance. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But
Right.
Killian loved Renaissance. He loved it because it was an aquatic note, but also had honey, and he loves honey fragrances.
Oh, man. Well, actually, now that you mention it, we have to get into that. Like, how did you make that decision to start a brand?
Well, I think it was like toward the end of my fashion career. It was about year 22, year 23, and I knew that there was something else. I just didn't know what that something else was.
That's an incredibly long time span for a model.
Yeah. It's an incredibly long time to do anything.
Yeah.
For 22, 23 years, and I enjoyed every moment of it, but I was starting to get a little antsy for something else.
Right.
I knew that there was something else. I just didn't know what that was. And then, ironically, I was traveling with a friend, and we were in Miami, and he had this fragrance, and he put it on the table. And I said, well, what is that? Because at the time, I did not know what niche fragrance was.
Yeah.
So he pulled out a bottle of Frederic Malle Musc Ravageur.
Say no more.
So I smelled it, and I was like, what the fuck did I just smell? This is not your Polo Sport. This is not your average, mass fragrance. I was like, what is this? So he said, yeah, you can have it because my girlfriend doesn't like it on me. I was like, really? Okay. So I took it, wore it like crazy, ran out. I called him. I said, well, where did you buy it from? Because I want to get another bottle. He said, well, I got it from Bergdorf Goodman. So I went to Bergdorf Goodman to buy it, and he had mistaken. He didn't get it from Bergdorf. He got it from Barney's. But I went to the Killian counter, and I said, can you tell me where to get this? He was like, we don't have that here, but we do have this. And he pulled out a bottle of Straight to Heaven. And I smelled that, and I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, what is this universe of niche fragrance that I've never heard of before?
Yeah.
So I started with Musc Ravageur, and then I had Straight to Heaven.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just kind of tumbled into this world where I was just amazed.
That sales associate at Bergdorf's knew what he was doing because those two fragrances smell nothing alike, but he just wanted to keep you in the stores.
And he did. And then he says, oh, by the way, Killian is going to be coming to the store in a couple of months. You should come back and meet him. I was like, sure. I don't know who this guy is, but I'll come back and meet him. And I came back to the store, and I met him. And that was the first time we met. At a
Bergdorf's in-store event.
Yeah, he was at an in-store event the first time we met. And then we just met. It was just very cordial, and I thanked him. And I may have gotten back to black that day.
Yeah.
And then fast forward some months down the line, I was wearing Straight to Heaven, and someone smelled it on me, and they said, "Oh, you smell great. What are you wearing?" I said, "Well, I'm wearing Straight to Heaven." He said, "Oh, I work for Killian." And I was like, "Oh, I met him briefly at one point. I would love to meet him again." And then some time went by, and I heard from his team, and we met. We sat down, and we had drinks, and then we just developed a relationship. And I just told him about my whole journey from smelling my dad's fragrance up until that point. And, he just took a liking to me, and we just started like creating stuff together. And yeah, it was a very fun moment. But at the time, I had no idea that this would happen. I just thought I was going to be working with a cool perfumer and just like making some, and working on some cool ideas.
Yeah.
And that was how it kind of started.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So at what point did you decide, actually, I've got to start a brand?
Right. Well, first of all, that was a very kind of difficult decision because, no one from where I'm from or no one that kind of looked like me actually ever had a brand, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well,
You can't just will it into being. There's a lot of steps you got to go
it's
through.
It's very French. It's not even really an American thing, or at least at the time. So I was like, well, how do I actually do this? And I asked Killian. I said, Killian, can I do this? I mean, is this possible?
Yeah.
And he said, well, it's going to be very difficult, because he was super honest with me. He said, first of all, you're African American. You come from the fashion world. Maybe no one is going to take you seriously. He said, so you have to do your homework. You have to, and I did. I went to France. I was in Paris. I was in Grasse. I was just like kind of going from house to house, kind of trying to learn everything, trying to do, pay my dues, so to say. And then I said, okay, well, I think I'm ready. I think. And then that's when I started creating the fragrance, and I'm like, man, this is not as easy as people think. So, I developed my own style, and he actually helped. He smelled some with me, and, he was a very good mentor. Yeah. So there's no way I would be here with this without Killian.
So were you actually approaching professional perfumers and sort of giving them a brief of this is what you have in mind, and they would come up with mods?
Brief. I had no clue where to start.
Yeah.
You know what they said? I went to all the big houses. I went to Robertet. Yeah. I went to Givaudan, Firmenich, and they all told me the same thing. They said, we don't really have enough time to create new fragrance for you, but we can give you what we have in our library. Mm. And I said, no, that's okay. I said, I think I want to try to create what I think I feel through the stories that I have in my heart and in my head. I said, but I'll be back. They were very nice, but they were very honest, because I had nothing to I had no experience in fragrance. I had no kind of concept. I had no, I had nothing.
Yeah, honestly,
except just the conversation.
The fact that you had the meetings is a big deal.
I know.
It's a very closed world.
So it's funny, because I was in Cannes. I was visiting some friends, and we were all at dinner, and then someone said, well, Chris, if you weren't modeling, what would you do? I said, I would love to have my own fragrance brand. And then the whole table got quiet. And I was like, well, is that strange? And they was like, well, Grasse is 45 minutes that way.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So he said, why don't I give you my keys, and you drive there and figure it out? I says, okay. So I took the keys. The next day I drove to Grasse, didn't know what I was doing, just driving around, and I saw a sign that said Robertet. No clue what Robertet was. And I just rang the doorbell, and someone answered the door. And I said, hi, I'm Chris Collins. I would like to talk about perfumery. Next thing you know, I'm sitting at a table. She's taking notes, and I'm like, what is happening right now? So that was my first meeting in New York, because she connected me to Robertet in New York. At the time, they were doing all the Byredo fragrances, Homme fragrances. So, yeah, it was just a kind of like this whirlwind of like the universe putting things in place for me to get to
the stars
points.
Lined up.
Stars lined up.
They lined up, because I think like the average person on the street, if
they're not going to Grasse and they're not ringing the doorbell,
ringing the doorbell of Robertet, having a meeting with them.
I'm Chris. How are you? But they were so nice. They were open. I mean, and honest.
Yeah.
They, maybe they didn't think that I would ever be back.
Yeah.
But I came back.
That's so cool.
I came back.
I mean, what I found in my experiences, because I had some connections to the fashion world when I was an artist, I was a sculptor, and the fashion world and the perfume world is quite different.
Yeah, but also very similar in some ways.
Yeah.
But I agree,
Yeah.
very different.
I mean, in terms of, I find the perfume world to be a lot more open and friendly and
Right.
kind of encouraging.
Right.
I feel that a lot of the fashion world has to keep up this air of mystique
Yes.
because you have to desire it so much. That's what makes fashion.
Right.
With perfume, it's like, let's have a party and let's smell great things.
Exactly. And I think there's a connection between the two because fragrance can and should be part of your fashion, right?
Definitely.
And then vice versa, the fashion could inspire, fragrance, like these incredible fragrance houses and everything like that. So I think there is like an intertwinement that goes along with
it's
it.
true.
But,
Yeah. And of course,
but they are different.
perfume has to have that mystique as well because, it's aspirational. You put something on because you want to be this version of yourself.
Right.
Which
you can
is
morph into whomever you want. Or you can hide behind it. It can like bring you into the open. For me, when I was a kid, I was not that confident. I was just like a very, very shy kid. And it wasn't until I started wearing fragrance that I started to open up.
Right.
I remember working with Jerome Epinette, incredible perfumer at Robertet. He made Long Kiss Goodnight and Lost in Paradise. So we were sitting, having a meeting, and of course, when you have a meeting and you have a discussion about creating a fragrance, there's Jerome, the perfumer, there's the evaluator, there's like so many people sitting at the table. And then at one point I just said, Jerome, do you mind if you and I just go talk? And everyone at the table was like, oh, well, sure. It was like kind of like an awkward moment.
Well, I mean, that sounds so uptight and business meeting like.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't, when I go and I talk about fragrance, I don't have like a storyboard. I just have what is going to come from here.
Yeah.
So I talk with the perfumer. This is how I create. So we go sit in his office and we start talking. And then all of a sudden he said, Chris, I just noticed something about you. I said, well, he said, you're very shy, aren't you? I said, I am. Like, I give this facade of being like, super, this and that. And, that's a side of me. But I also have a very, very shy side. And he saw that. And he would not have seen that at the table. He only saw that when we were talking.
Definitely.
And that helped him create Long Kiss Goodnight and Lost in Paradise for me because he saw that when we started talking. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
When you came out with your first fragrances,
Yes.
how did that come to be? How did you choose the perfumers you wanted to work with?
So remember when I said I went to go visit all the big fragrance houses and they all said, well, we love your story. We think you're going to do great, but not yet. We can't work with you yet. So I was introduced to a smaller fragrance house in Mougins, which is like right outside of Grasse. The company is called Archville. And their expertise, they made a lot of fragrance for people, but their expertise was candles. Their perfumers like knocked it out of the park with like Henry Mandel candles and like, all the candles that we smell now. So I told them, I want to start creating fragrance. So I went to Grasse. I stayed there for a couple of weeks. And they was like, oh, Chris, well, where do we start? And I says, I have no clue. I have no clue where to start. They says, okay, well, what fragrances do you like? And I told them these. Coros, Issey Miyake, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Oud Delice. So they took what I liked and then started to create in those same universes.
Right.
So that's kind of like how it started.
Yeah.
So that was the place to start because I didn't, at the time I wasn't knowledgeable enough to say, well, I want to create an amber fougere and I wanted to smell like this. I mean, now I can do that because, I'm on fragrance number 16 and it's been like 7 years.
Yeah.
So we had to start somewhere. So they said, well, just tell us what you like. And then that's when we started working.
Of course, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this every day at Scent Bar, customers coming in and they have something in mind and they really want to find something and they start saying things.
Right.
Sometimes really it's gobbledygook because it'll be like, maybe like citrus with patchouli and like, and like they start listing all these things that we know don't really go together that well. And so instead I'm like, no. Tell me actual things, like actual perfumes
or what you
like. Right. You know?
Because fragrance is a language, right?
It's a language.
Some speak it way better. I mean, you speak, your fragrance language is like very, 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 very skillful, right? So, I mean, I think that's one of your gifts, like the way you describe, the way you talk about fragrance.
Yeah.
So I can watch you for hours talk about fragrance. But I think for some people it's hard to put into words what they like.
But they don't need to know. I mean, if you're just a customer and if you're not, let's say you're not starting a brand, you just want to find something good. Right. But if you tell me you like Le Malle from Jean Paul Gaultier,
then I know that you love Amber Fougères,
you like
and you
some
want something
powder,
fresh,
you like some sweetness. Yeah,
100%.
For sure.
And something that I've started asking customers now is like, tell me what you don't like.
Yeah. Because
then I don't have to show you anything in that. And then we could start from here. And then I'll show you. I always start with the fragrance that I start with every time I show someone.
Yeah.
Is African Rooibos.
Okay.
There's a reason. It's because it's so many different things, categories, facets, universes that you're going to like something from that.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then okay, now I know we can go somewhere completely different. So I always say,
so this is kind of the baseline because most people are going to love
African Rooibos is my signature. People say, well, what's your favorite? I don't have a favorite. They're all my babies. They're all very personal. But I will tell you in 2 seconds, my signature fragrance is African Rooibos.
It's pretty amazing.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it cannot be duplicated. So don't even try. It's so good.
Tell me about how this came to be.
So, Sidonie Lencesser is a perfumer at Robertet in Paris. And I know about her because she made some iconic fragrances for Killian. She made Vodka on the Rocks. Mm-hmm. She made Black Phantom. She made Straight to Heaven. So I remember calling Killian. I said, Killian, and I had to tread lightly. I said, do you mind if I reached out to Sidonie? And he was like, sure, no, it's fine, because I didn't want him to think that I was kind of like
stepping on his territory.
Yeah. Obviously, my style of fragrance is different. I mean, I guess some people can see some similarities because I do love booze in my fragrances. But, and even Sidonie, she was very careful. She was like, I don't want to make anything that kind of, is similar. And I said, I agree because I don't want that.
Yeah.
So we started talking, and I said to her, I said, I always wanted to create a tea fragrance, but I don't want to use green tea. I don't want to use black tea. I've smelled all those kind of fragrances before. And I said, what about Rooibos? Have you ever worked with the Rooibos note? She says, I've never worked with it, but I'm curious. And then I told her the story of how I kind of came across Rooibos, like visiting South Africa in my 20s, walking into a tea shop, trying Rooibos.
Yeah.
So she took all that and created this. And I'm sorry, I hate to say this about my own brand, but African Rooibos is a masterpiece.
I couldn't agree more. It truly is.
It is a masterpiece, and also what most people may not know about perfume creation is normally you have an idea and you start at a place, and you and the perfumer, I say it's like a dance. Like me and the perfumer need to dance together without stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
But sometimes the first mod that you smell isn't it. Like, you want to change it, you want to modify it a little bit, you want to make it sweeter, you want to make it warmer, you want to make it spicy, whatever it is that you feel like would be best to tell the story. So most perfumes have different mods after the first trial, second mod, third mod. Even mods can go up to like 40 mods.
Yeah,
I've heard of that happening. African Rooibos was the first mod. I did not touch it. I did not say, Sidonie, we need to make it more of this, more of that, less this, less that. I smelled African Rooibos for the first time and said, this is done.
Yeah. Hit it out of the park.
Hit it out of the park on the first try.
Yeah.
She was like, are you sure? We can try to do something. I said, Sidonie, do not
touch
it.
Yeah.
And I sell more of that fragrance than any of my fragrances in the world.
I mean, it's so attractive. I can imagine anyone could put this on and it would suit them.
Anyone. And then, like, for the composition, I mean, it's not overly powerful, like, within the composition. Like, it's not like a deep gourmand or it's not super ambery, but the performance on it is crazy. 12 plus hours. The sillage is like very, very long, very big. Not up someone's nose, but like, you know.
Yeah.
And you can't, I'm telling you, as brand founders and perfumers, like the number one question or the number one concern that customers have is how long does it last and are people going to smell me?
Yeah.
So that is the goal for most brands and perfumers, is to make a fragrance, you know, perform, last long, and have a good sillage. And sometimes you could try as hard as you can and it just won't happen.
Yeah.
You can't plan to have something like this on the first trial have the performance that it has. It just happens. It's just like the universe said, this is it. This is your signature, and here it is, and take it. And
you talked about, well, you use this metaphor, which I love, about dance.
Yes.
About you and the perfumer having a dance. What I love about this scent is that it's dancing.
Yes.
And it's because it's this constant play between bright and deep.
Yes.
So it starts off with the citrus, as most fragrances do.
Right.
But then when that starts to calm down, which it always does, then the black pepper starts taking the place.
The tea starts to start.
Yeah.
Then you start getting into the immortelle, the cardamom.
Yeah.
You know, I read a book before I launched Perfume. I read the book Perfume, which is, you know, classic book most people know about. And in one of the captions, it says, a great fragrance should always change. It should never stay linear. Of course, there are some really good ones that do, but a great fragrance should always give you bits and pieces at different times.
Yes.
It should give you the tea, and then you should be like, wait a minute, I smell vanilla. Oh, shit, I smell the flower immortelle. It's like a great fragrance dances.
That's what makes a fragrance great.
That's
I
right.
couldn't agree more with
That's
you.
right.
Yeah. Because we know, especially if you work in perfume, you know that the journey of a scent is going to change.
Right.
Because sometimes customers get frustrated. They're like, oh, it changed on me. I'm like, it's supposed to change. It must change.
Right.
But the thing is, you obviously don't like where it went. You know what I mean?
You liked where it started.
Right.
But you didn't like where it went.
Right.
And sometimes you may try something, you didn't like where it started.
Right.
And then after a while, you go home, it's like, wait a minute.
Most of my favorites, though.
Wait a minute.
The first 5 minutes.
What happened to this fragrance? So you have to give it time to evolve.
Yeah.
I think I used the wrong word, change. The fragrance evolves. It moves. It just kind of dances around. And every great fragrance should do that.
I agree. And that's how you know the perfumer is in control.
Right.
Because if phase 3 of it is still as amazing as phase 1,
right.
this person knows how to make a perfume.
They know what the hell they're doing.
Yes.
They know what the hell they're doing.
For sure.
And Sydney knocked it out of the park.
She knows what she's doing.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, this is a stunning scent.
So stunning.
And I'm so happy to re-smell it because I've worn this many times. I love it. But as you know, in the store, we get a lot of new releases. Every week we get new releases.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have this tendency to fall in love quickly with something new. And, you know, you wear that and you're so excited. And then 2 weeks goes by and then you're in love with something else. So when I knew that I was going to be sitting down with you, I started wearing your fragrances again and really paying attention to them and falling in love with all of them.
Thank you.
And this little thing happened, it was kind of by accident, where I was wearing African Rooibos. And a lot of us at Lucky Scent and Scent Bar, we combine and layer. And it's mostly because we're constantly trying new things.
I'm sure just by spraying the scent strip, like you have so many different fragrances on your hand just from like spraying all the time.
So it becomes second nature for us to start layering scents. So I have to admit, I started layering African Rooibos with a few other things. And I found with vanilla scents, forget it, incredible.
I think you just gave me an idea.
Yes. I wore it because I have a decant of YSL Babycat, a really complex, beautiful, kind of smoky vanilla, and I wore it next to African Rooibos.
Wow.
They did this dance together.
That sounds so good. Which I'm glad you did that, because I have this kind of like weird suggestion with people when they layer. Of course, you could do whatever you want. There are no rules in perfumery, but I like to layer the fragrance in separate places.
Yeah.
So if I had Babycat, I would have it here, and then I would have Rooibos here.
Oh, on separate arms.
Or it could be in the same
Or
place,
next
but
to each
not
other.
on
Yeah.
top
no,
of
no,
each
no,
other.
No. You'll cancel each other out. Yeah.
So, because you're an expert. So
Just a little tip for people.
I think the most incredible tip I can give to people with the layer is wear whatever you want, but just wear it in different places. I say that because you will still get the sillage from everything together.
Yeah.
But if you want a little bit of Rooibos on its own, you can. Or if you want a little Babycat, you can.
Yeah.
But it's not on top of each other. And then someone's going to say, well, you smell good. What are you wearing? I'm wearing this and that. But what's smelling good? I don't know, because it's like this combination of fragrance on top of each other that you don't know. So now you have them in separate places. You get the same effect, but you can still have them individually if you want. So that's just my little tidbit on layering, the way I like to layer.
Yeah.
And once I told people to try that, they actually loved it better.
Do you layer a lot?
I do. So
Yeah.
even when I'm like working on a new fragrance, I'll wear in different places. And
Yeah.
I'm the guy, on the subway smelling all different body parts, so people think I'm crazy. But even when I'm trying new fragrance, I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you wear other fragrances that are not in your own brand? Because I've talked to other brand owners and perfumers, and they're always like, I don't wear perfumes because I have to keep my nose for what I'm working on.
Well, so I think at the end of the day, we're all just kind of like fragrance nerds. We're all like enthusiasts, and we just love fragrance. So I'm a huge fan of fragrance, just like the kid I was.
Yeah.
I love when I see incredible releases from my friend Thibault from Maison Crivelli. I love when I see like Fugazi, who I'm really good friends with, Mona from Kelly. I love seeing like new launches, but my attention span can only focus on my fragrances.
Sure.
So, do I wear other fragrances? No. Do I appreciate other fragrances? Do I smell it? It's like, wow, that's really good. And just kind of like always go back to the same place where I started in fragrance, and that's as a fan of fragrance.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. But when it comes to wearing them, it just, I have to stay focused on kind of like blinders on my style.
Yeah.
And I may smell something from Fugazi, like Vanilla Haze, which I love. And I don't want that to sway my kind of creativity into one way. Which, by the way, I'm working on a true vanilla for next year, which I've never had before. I've had vanilla in fragrances, probably in most fragrances, but not a true vanilla. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, that is exciting. So I guess it's for real. God, if you're going to make this commitment into starting a brand, you're going to be wearing your fragrance. And for every hour that you waste on another brand, that could have been wasted on you. Yeah.
Right. And again, I appreciate other fragrance creations, but I'm working on fragrances for launches in 2026.
Yeah.
So I'm already 2 years out, like 2027, I'm like thinking, well, my mind just never, stops running.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
My attention span won't allow me to.
Yeah. No, I get it. You have to stay focused.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what I put on yesterday and today, and wow.
What's that?
Oh, it's this. It's Lust.
Oh, Lust Oud Delice.
Oh,
unbelievable fragrance.
God, yeah.
So, Alexis Grosjean from Givaudan, well, he was at Firmenich at the time. He's now at Firmenich. He was an understudy for Honorine Blanc, so he worked under Honorine Blanc, like an incredible master perfumer. So we were working on something. I don't know exactly what we were working on. We were in the office. So we had this whole list of things that we smelled. And then the last one was this fragrance that I'm like, well, what is this? This wasn't what we discussed. He said, Chris, just try it. So I smell it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, what is this? Because sometimes I can go to the perfumer and say, here's a story that I want to tell. Here's how I want it to feel. Here's the emotion. And then they create something. But sometimes the perfumer can come to me and say, Chris, you need to smell this. Mm-hmm. And the second I smelled it, I knew that it was telling the story of lust. It's decadent. It's delicious. It's lustful. Yeah. It's so good. The hazelnut, the dark chocolate, the oud in the background, which is it's not an oud fragrance, but the oud just gives it that little bit of animalistic. Like, it's just an excellent gourmand, true gourmand fragrance.
Yeah, carnal, for sure.
Carnal.
And you know what? When I first tried on this fragrance, I think something that's not so great about those of us who smell a lot of things, especially for our profession, is you tend to categorize things kind of quickly.
Right.
You know? So I smelled this, and I remember the first time I wore it, I'm like, oh, this is a really beautiful patchouli. You know? Because patchouli does play a really distinctive, important thing in this scent. And so in my mind, I categorized it as, oh, it's a really great patchouli fragrance.
As soon as you smelled it, that's yeah.
And then when I'm re-smelling it and re-wearing it, all of these notes start coming through more. And the coffee now is so much more important to me than the patchouli.
Right.
And that walnut, it's very unusual. And these gourmand things coming together. And of course, they're embracing the patchouli, but it's so much more than what I had originally thought.
I agree. And that's, again, going back to that beauty of a great fragrance should dance a little bit and kind of give you different nuances. Most people, when I describe a fragrance, I give them 3 notes. I don't overcomplicate things. I say dark chocolate, hazelnut, oud.
Yeah.
Of course, there's vanilla, there's patchouli, there's so many other things, but I just want you to concentrate on these, and wherever your nose takes you after that, that's the beauty of kind of your journey of the fragrance.
Yeah.
Right?
So sophisticated.
Thank you.
My big surprise with this scent was far into the dry down. I started noticing what the iris was doing.
Oh, that's actually Alexei's favorite part of the fragrance is the iris.
You know what? Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
That is his favorite part of it because it smooths the fragrance out. And it's so smooth, the iris note. So we were talking about it. Of course, I'm like, dark chocolate, oud, yum, yum, yum. He said, Chris, I'm telling you, it's the iris that is going to play the star in this fragrance. And he was right.
Yeah, for sure. I say this a lot, but when I get iris, especially this kind of iris, I always think it gives a perfume an air of luxury.
Yes.
And that's 100% what's going on with this.
That's one of the notes that I love working with. And it's in a lot of my fragrances, but not like that.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Stunning.
Yeah.
In fact, the iris and the way it felt so luxurious, and the texture, it's like a silky iris feel.
Yes.
And it made me feel like classical Guerlain. I'm getting classical French perfumery.
Which Guerlain?
So, okay, I have several that use that particular iris. Yes. And there's one I wear a lot, and it's called Bois d'Armagny, and it's the perfumer is Enique Menodo, and that silky, velvety iris mixed with woods and incense.
Amazing. I love it.
Just so chic, and that's how I felt wearing
And
Lust.
it's very powerful fragrance as well. Like, even when you're moving around, I can get whiffs of the fragrance from
100%.
here.
These guys really have.
Yes. And that's kind of like a signature. Like, if you come to me, you don't come for, like, lighter scents.
Yeah.
Like, you come because you want something that's going to be, robust, and it's going to have a lot of character.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my MO when it comes to perfumery. And that's kind of like, again, going back to the magic of African Rooibos, it wasn't created like that, but it still has the same power as like any of the other fragrances. So
Yeah. No, that's incredible. They do keep up. In fact, when I did that layering of African Rooibos with Babycat, the next morning I woke up, and the first thing I thought of was, I smell good. Seriously. And I didn't remember at first what it was.
Yeah.
And then as the morning went on, I'm like, it was the African Rooibos with Babycat.
I gotta smell Babycat again.
It was still going like the next morning. And that's very impressive to me.
I gotta smell Babycat again. Is it here? No.
No.
Okay.
I have a little decant in my collection.
Okay.
Should have brought should. How'd I know? But you know what? We should try some other vanillas like Tihota, which is the most beautiful, pure vanilla.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
I think what I should do is I should bring all my new creations and let you smell them. And then you could say, you know what, because your knowledge, I'm telling you, and I'm not just saying this, I've been a huge fan of yours since even before I was at Lucky Scent. So I think that because sometimes, just like any other creative, because you are a creative, you're a sculptor, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get blocked. Like, I know what I wanted to feel like, but how do I get there?
I know.
And sometimes, the perfumer and I, the dance kind of slows and we're like, what is that it's missing?
Yeah.
And someone who is not connected
Chris,
at all
I'm here for you
can sometimes
anytime.
say, maybe like a vanilla or
It
something
would be
like
my pleasure.
this.
Not to say that African Rooibos needs anything, because it's perfect.
No,
the way it
actually,
is.
people would kill me
Don't,
if I thought
don't
about
meddle
actually
with that. No.
meddle with it. Maybe.
We could see a
We'll see.
flanker coming out, maybe.
Maybe. But yeah, like my fans do not want me to touch
No,
African Rooibos.
and you must not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
I want to talk about this guy too, because this is new.
Savant Manhattan Cherry, another fragrance by Alexis Goujon. Him and I are having a moment right now.
So good.
I told him I wanted to work. I've never worked with the cherry note, and he showed me this, and I said, "Oh my God!" And we talked a little bit about the inspiration, and I said, I was inspired by the Manhattan, the drink, so I wanted cherry to be the kind of garnish, but not the whole story.
Right.
Because sometimes the cherry, it's like, very, very cherry.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's not very cherry. Actually, the cherry you start to get as it dries down and warms up.
Yeah.
You start to get the whiskey. We get the whiskey in the
for
beginning.
sure, yeah.
But a funny story about this fragrance, I think a friend of mine sent me, her and I are huge Prince fans, right? So she always sends me all these videos. We send each other videos, things we see on social media.
Yeah.
And she said, Chris, you have to see this video of this guy talking about, the Prince, how did Prince smell when he wore fragrance and all this other stuff. I said, yeah, well, send me the video. She sent me the video. I open it up, and it's you talking about what did Prince smell like in the 80s and what did he wear when doves cried. And I was like, holy shit, that's Steve. So when I knew we were going to sit down and talk, I was like, I got to tell him how big of a Prince fan I am. I was 10 years old. I think Purple Rain came out in 84.
Yeah.
If I'm off, forgive me. So I was 10. And I remember begging my parents to let me go to the movies to see this movie because I loved Prince. So, still do. He's my favorite artist of all time. He's the reason why I ride a Harley, because he was riding a Harley in Purple Rain. I mean, he's just got... And my Harley's name is Nikki, after the song Darling Nikki, by the way. So people don't even understand how much I love Prince.
Oh,
So
that's so cool.
when we were working on a cherry fragrance, I said, you know what? I'm going to call this fragrance Under the Cherry Moon. And I was like, it's going to be perfect. It'll be my ode to Prince. And then I came to my senses. I said, you do not want to mess with Prince's his team, and that's a whole different thing.
I was going to
because
say
they protect him like nobody's business.
Because you have
And I
Sweetest
said,
Taboo out, which you use.
was inspired by Sade.
Yes, and that works. And
Yeah,
but I guess
but not with Prince.
Because you wouldn't
no,
get the permission. Maybe
You wouldn't. They would be pulling it off the shelf. At least I assume they would. So I didn't want to go down that route. So I said, as bad as I wanted to call it, I can tell the story, but I couldn't name it Under the Cherry Moon. So when I saw you talking about Prince, I was like, I have to tell him that it was like this close to being called Under the Cherry Moon.
Oh, this is incredible. Because actually, it makes me smell this differently now. Right. I know exactly where your mind was with this scent.
And I'm inspired by film, music, a lot by music, actually.
Really?
So I probably would never be able to call a fragrance anything that I've loved from Prince, but it still inspires me when I see it.
This is incredible. The guest before you, sitting in that chair, was Susanna Melvoin, and she...
That's Wendy's sister, right?
Wendy's sister, and she was Prince's fiance. So she knew him very well and knew his fragrance collection so well because she curated a lot for him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was one of his favorites?
So during the time she was with him, he was wearing Molinard fragrance, and it's because I'm sorry if you already heard the story last week with Susanna's episode, but she was saying she worked for David Geffen, and someone who worked in the office was wearing Molinard de Molinard. And Susanna asked, like, what is that? So she told Susanna what it was. She got a bottle. She showed it to Prince. He became obsessed. So I think a lot of people, his fans, are very curious about his choices aesthetically. Yeah. So, of course, they split up at some point, and when I made that video on my YouTube about what Prince wore, a lot of people were saying all these things like, he wore Dune, he wore Samsara, da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm sure all of that's true because we all change our fragrances over the years.
That's right. And he looks like he just smelled good.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he just looked like his whole aura was just like, you knew he was in the room. So I'm not surprised that he wore like some classic fragrances.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God, that's so funny. Now
Under the Cherry Moon is now Savant Manhattan Cherry.
I love that.
Yeah.
And the leather really starts doing its own thing.
So good. It's like there is an oak barrel accord, almost like the whiskey is like soaking in the oak. Like Alexi just knocked this fragrance out of the park. And African Rooibos is my signature, is my bestseller, but Savant is coming.
This is stunning.
Yeah.
This is stunning.
Yeah.
And, we say, you wear what you like.
Right.
And I love that I'm seeing more and more men interested in fruit scents.
Right.
So Narco Oasis from Narcotica has been a huge hit last year, this year. Wave Child. These are very fruity, very sweet, and it really makes me happy that a lot of men don't think, wait, is this masculine enough? Like,
of course
wear
it
it.
is.
If you like it, you wear it.
Of course it is. Yeah.
But
it's funny when I show men my fragrances, the first question they say, well, is this for men? And I would say, well, it's I don't really create for men or women. I just create what I love.
Yeah.
Some fragrances lean more feminine, some more masculine. And they go, great, but is it for men? And then I go, well, this one is more. I'll show you something that's more masculine that I think leans more masculine.
Yeah.
So we smell this, it's like, oh, this smells great, but is it for men? And I'm like, okay, you're obsessed with this fragrance being for men, and I need you to concentrate on the fact that it's good, and that you like it.
Yeah.
I used to wear one of the fragrances I bought my mom when I was young, because I've always been into gourmands, was Angel. So I bought an Angel for women, and I used to wear it.
Of course.
And I'm like, we have to understand that it doesn't matter if it's more feminine or more masculine, or if it's for men or for women. If you love it, wear it. Women are more confident in their choices. They don't care if it's like super masculine.
Right.
My Kingmaker fragrance is like super animalic, super oud, and I have women that love it.
For sure. Yeah.
They're more confident in their choices, and I want to be the person that kind of like inspires the boys to kind of not be kind of wrapped around if it's for them.
Yeah.
If you like it, wear it. If you like a gardenia fragrance, I love gardenia.
Yeah.
Gardenia, I remember wearing Chinatown from Bond No. 9 when I was like in high school, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And it was a floral. So it's like, don't worry about who's it for. If you like it, don't worry about if it's a cherry fragrance. If you like it, just wear it.
Absolutely.
Just wear it.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I want to be you. You must have such...
I want to be you.
That's true. We'll do a Freaky Friday.
Yes. I want you to live a day in a life, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and run around the city like you're crazy. And I want to sit at Lucky Scent and smoothly talk. I'm going to try your voice. Oh, I think you're really going to love this, I think. And try to like talk exactly like you, because you romance people. You're like, I'm gonna sit in your shoes one day, and you sit in mine. You're gonna call me. It's like, get me out of here. Get me back to LA. I'm going back to Lucky Scent.
Oh my God! But what I want to know is, you obviously wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You're the creator of this brand. You're coming up with the ideas of the scents. You're traveling. You're communicating. What parts of your job do you like the best?
I think hands down is the creative part is, people, the number one question I get from people is like, which one is your favorite? And I always say it's the next one. It's the next one. It's like the possibilities, the ideas of what's next. You know, I am so blessed. I have 16 incredible fragrances and more to come, but I'm working on the next one while people are kind of still, understanding maybe African Rooibos or Lust or Savant, because it takes time sometimes. But I think the most fun part is the creative part. I didn't know that I had it in me until I started to create. And then that's the part that I get excited for when I wake up. Obviously, it takes more than that to create a brand, but the creations are the star, and then everything else kind of has to fall into place.
God, when you get into a creative flow, like time doesn't exist.
No.
You just get into it.
You get excited, and it's like you get butterflies, and and then it becomes a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, okay, well, are people going to love it?
Yeah.
Or how are people going to react to it? When I first started creating, my first 3 fragrances were Harlem Nights, Don Sauvage, and Renaissance. And I knew I wanted to create a collection that told the story of the Harlem Renaissance. That's where I lived. That's where the idea came about. But I wasn't confident yet to just put something out there that I thought people would love. I was very nervous. I was like, what if no one loves them? What if no one buys them? What if, they say, well, this guy, he's, from the fashion world, he's handsome and all, but he doesn't know shit about perfume. So in the beginning, I was really nervous. And then I started to develop a lot more confidence after a while to know my choices, to know that I've developed this kind of rapport of like, okay, Chris knows what he's doing, but not coming from the fragrance world. That took time.
Yeah,
just like it would take time in any, when you try to be an actor or a model or a sculptor or anything.
Yeah.
It just takes time to kind of say, well, okay, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time. And in the beginning, I was really nervous. And you know what? I still get nervous when I launch. Yeah. But that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like if I don't get nervous, then I'm kind of like taking all the fun and all the kind of like, I'm like, who's gonna love this? Who's gonna, and that part is nerve-wracking as hell.
Yeah.
But it's also the time that I feel the most alive.
I've had some friends who are performers tell me that nervousness is just a form of excitement.
Yes, and you have to use it.
Yeah.
You use it. You use it and put it into your creation. So that's how I learned to kind of take that and infuse it into what I create. And then obviously when you start to hear the feedback and people's like, oh, they love it, and then your nerves kind of go down or hate it or whatever it is, Killian gave me some of the best advice I think I've ever had that helped me create. He said, you don't care if someone hates it or loves it, they just have to feel something.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can have someone say is, it's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Either, oh my God, I love it, or oh my God, I hate it. It's like, okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay if you hate it. That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize.
Yeah, you can't please everyone, but yeah.
And there's something very deeply psychological that can go into the reason why you hate it.
For sure.
It could remind you of some time or some place in your life that you don't really want to revisit. So I never get offended when someone says they hate one of my fragrances, even though hate is a very strong word, or they don't like any of my fragrances. I just feel like, it's personal with you.
Totally.
So, but I need you to feel something.
Yeah.
If you say, oh, it's okay, then I didn't do my job.
Yeah. I think you've already started answering this question, but especially for people who are trying to do the same thing as you, coming up with a brand, whether you're a perfumer or you want to work with perfumers or you just want to start a brand, maybe it's not even perfume. What are the obstacles? What are things that you found difficult to get past?
Well, that's a hard question to ask because every day there's a different obstacle.
Yeah.
It's like I meet people all the time who, they either collect fragrance or they love fragrance or, that's what moves them. And they say to me, well, I want to create a brand. And I'm like, well, know that this is something that it's not just you love it, but something that you literally have to throw yourself into. It can affect your entire life.
Yeah.
You can go broke doing it. You could lose family doing it. You could get divorced doing it. Like, know that this is something that is not just creating fragrance. It's like your whole life kind of goes into it.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning, because you're trying to figure a lot of things out. So there are a lot of people that tell me I want to create a brand, and I say go for it. But just understand that it's going to be one of the most difficult things you've ever done. There's thousands of fragrances out there, and it's like, what's going to make yours unique? What's it going to feel like? What is it going to look like? You know, so I never discourage anyone from trying. I just kind of give them what my experience was. And there's some days now that I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
You know, it's like, Chris, how did you make that mistake? And how did you do that? And I still make mistakes, but you learn from them, you take them, and you don't make the same one twice. But it is very difficult to create.
But it keeps
brand
changing,
perfume.
right? And the more established you are and the more credible you are as a brand, you know you have to keep up with that.
Well, I always say success breeds the stress to be more successful.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when you're just having fun, and then, okay, well, now you hit this market, now you need to do that. And then you need more, and then more. It never stops.
Yeah.
So you have some sort of success, and then it becomes stressful because you feel like you need more success. And then you feel like you need investors, and you feel like you need all these other things in order to keep up with some of the other brands.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I keep my blinders on. It's hard not to kind of notice because, again, I'm a fan of perfume, but you just have to kind of stay in your lane and do what you...
Because there's no one model that works for
No.
everyone, and you have to try to make it fit in that model.
Right. And every brand has a moment, right?
Yeah.
You just stay the course until you have the moment. You know, every brand is not going to have a Baccarat. It's just, it probably, you know, that's once in a lifetime fragrance.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are once in a lifetime fragrances all over in time, but you can't say, I want to make something like that because you never know.
Yeah.
It's like going into a studio and Prince saying, today I want to make a hit.
Right.
It's like, no. Prince probably, at least the way I know my Prince, is that he went in and he just made great music.
Yeah.
The hits come from the people
Yeah.
that enjoy the music.
Yeah.
So you just go in and stay the course. I never knew that African Rooibos was going to be my favorite, my number one fragrance, but I just keep making good fragrance and then I let the people decide which is a hit.
Yeah.
It's not for me to
Is
decide.
that funny? I think I could be wrong, but I heard that the song Kiss, he wasn't even crazy about and didn't even want to put it on the album.
There's probably so much music he didn't want to put out that like ended up being like a super hit, or maybe he wrote a song for someone else because I don't like it. I'll give it to someone else, and it became like a hit.
Yeah.
Like you never know.
It's wild. Chris, I can't tell you how much fun this has been. I feel like we could just sit here for a few more hours because we've only started.
I know. There's a lot more to talk about. We'll do it again.
We'll do it again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
And thank all of you for watching, listening. Please stay tuned for further episodes of It's Just Perfume. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
That was so
That was good.